Power 102 Digital.
It is Monday, 19th February 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news till 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. A family is rescued following a hiking misadventure at 5:30 p.m. on February 17th, 2024. The E999 Command Center was contacted by a family of hikers who became lost in the vicinity of Mount St. Benedict. The Northern Division Operations Center was informed and immediately activated the TTPS Coastal and Air Support Unit and the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. According to information provided around 4:40 p.m., the family of four, including a husband, a wife, and their two children, started a hike along the northern range in the vicinity of Mount St. Benedict to the popular flag site. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley will deliver the feature address at the opening ceremony in Guyana of the 2024 Energy Conference and Supply Expo today, Monday. Dr. Rowley traveled to Guyana yesterday, Sunday. The theme of the event is Fueling Transformation and Modernization. It aims to foster the exchange of innovative ideas, proposals, and strategies for substantial advancements in the energy sector in the region. The Alliance for Change in Guyana is concerned about the oil spill off the coast of Tobago and its implications for the region. The AFC says it takes Guyana's oil sector very seriously. It explains it was less than impressed with the stewardship of the Environmental Protection Agency over the nation's patrimony. President of the Police Social and Welfare Association, Acting ASP Gideon Dixon, is calling for a full-scale investigation as to why the government rejected Assistant Commissioner of Police Wendell Lucas for the position of Deputy Commissioner of Police this past Friday in the House of Representatives. Yesterday, Dixon described Lucas's rejection as strange. He called on government to provide answers. Lucas was nominated number one on the merit list from the Police Service Commission. But in a stunning move in the House on Friday, Lucas was rejected after being praised for his accomplishments, long service, and dedication to the police service by National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines. Opposition MP Saddam Hussein has also called on the government to explain why they rejected Wendell Lucas, who was nominated by the Police Service Commission for the position of Deputy Commissioner of Police. Lucas is head of the Trinidad Tobago Police Service White Collar Crime Unit. Two men and an 18-year-old woman were shot and killed by police in Tunapuna early Saturday morning during what senior officers described as an exchange of gunfire. Seconds before the shooting, one of the victims, Shaquille Dust Boss McGregor, 29, was on live Instagram video with 6 people viewing when the officers came knocking at the door at his Lovell Street, Monte Grand home around 5 a.m. Also killed were Jadelle Otley, 18, who was said to be pregnant, and another man who was ID'd as only Silence up to late yesterday evening. Following the shooting, all three were taken to the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, where they were all pronounced dead on arrival. Political analyst Dr. Bishnu Ragoobarsingh believes the SRC's recommendation to increase the salaries of the country's top public officials can only be viewed as obscene, and the government may face a pushback from the population. Ragoobarsingh was given his take on the recommendations. He said, quote, "The fact that public servants were given a 4% salary hike over 6 years, it could be seen as obscene that the Prime Minister would take a 27% increase, while they call on the population at large to hold strain." Ragoobarsingh said the offer the government put on the table for public sector employees is hardly one that I think would get the vast support of the population. While Cabinet has to accept the recommendations, Ragoobarsingh said it would come to Parliament for a vote, which would require only a simple majority. Guyana's Vice President Bharat Jagdeo says the Ministry of Education may have to explore online methods to ensure students are provided with tuition. Referencing the period during COVID-19 when online teaching was the order of the day, Jagdeo stated that most teachers did not teach during that period, but they were still paid. His comments come as teachers took to the streets on day 9 Friday of what will soon be an indefinite strike. And finally, the U.S. and UK ambassadors to Moscow have laid flowers to honor Alexei Navalny, the Russian opposition leader who died in prison on Friday. U.S. Ambassador Lane Tracy and Britain's Nigel Casey were pictured in paying their respects at a memorial in Moscow. Navalny's allies believe he was murdered on the orders of President Vladimir Putin. Prison authorities say he suffered sudden death syndrome. And that is news to the hour right here at News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Good morning, neighbors, on this Monday, the 19th day of February. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. Yeah, it is 7 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock on this, the 19th day of February. 25 degrees at Piarco and at Crown Point. And of course, quickly see if there's any issues traffic-wise. Nope, but I guess a lot of people are back out to work today, just after Freeport towards Sugar Guanas and then volume towards Interchange into Port of Spain. All right. A little volume from Trinidad City, heavier from Macoya towards Ewing. All right. Of course, full casting this morning. We just heard from Paul Richards. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Shane, and Ruben in the mix as well. My name is Steve Khan. Good morning to you, Paul Richards.
Morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone. Good Monday morning.
Morning to you,
Yes,
pal.
battling the flu.
Oh, no. Oh, no. That flu is such a horrible flu. I did not even go for my vaccine yet.
But I don't think it's the same one you got. It is once I work in that Savannah Carnival Monday and Tuesday, I get the flu invariably.
Yeah.
Once
The dust.
exposed to the dust for 5 hours a day. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Dust
you're
in your
gonna get
face.
something. You're going to get
Yeah.
something. So, all weekend, I was fighting the flu. Actually, I went to a nice lime on Friday night.
And you didn't invite the boys?
Well, I couldn't invite anyone. I was invited myself. That would be inappropriate.
Oh, true.
Say good morning to Ian and Fayan Alvarez.
Oh, you went up there? Ah, boy.
Beautiful
I was
home
up
they
there.
have.
I was
They have
up there
a
yesterday.
cool down time.
What did they? Yeah, I was up
Very
that
nice.
side yesterday.
First line.
You won?
I learned to play. No, I did not win one game.
Why am I not surprised?
It
Can we
was
not
slow
go?
coming back. I haven't played over first for a while, so I got like 3 cut tail.
Uh-huh.
But I won the checkers though.
Okay. Well, there you checkers. I haven't
I never
played
played
that.
checkers before.
I haven't
But I
played
learned to
that.
play checkers and I won off the bat. So
Wow.
kind of boring game if you ask me, but
It's a mind of games like chess.
yeah. Well,
Well,
it's
not
what you
as
have.
technical, but
It's what you have. It's what basically what you have, and trying the least amount of numbers when you finish count. Anyway, it's enjoyable. Nice lime, really nice lime. So thanks to Bungie and Fayan for the lime on Friday.
wonderful.
I did a sneezing spell, so I had to leave.
Up there quiet, huh?
It's beautiful.
Up there is, so my buddy lives next door, so I'm up there pretty often. And
Morning, Wendell.
Hi, good morning, Paul, good morning, Steve, morning, Richard, morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning, listeners and viewers.
oh my God, you're home. Look at you
Yes, I am. Where you want me to be?
in St. James.
No, I'm home. I'll go down to St. James after.
All right. Let's say good morning to a few folks that sent us hellos, which they normally do before we come on the air. Garth Celia out in Valencia, Wendy and James, Wayne B. Hey, Wayne B is still here in Trinidad City. All righty. Oliver Man Warren, Marcia Rock out in Florida, enjoying the 139th anniversary of President's Day. And I will tell you, Marcia Rock, you can mark it in your calendar. 1 month from today, it will be spring. Just FYI for you. Carol Guevara, Maria C., Boy Bedesi, John Cato, Gloria Gray, and Gloria Gray is saying, tuning on from New Jersey. Also to her husband, Andre Sedeno in South Oropouche. Okay, Gloria. Carol Joseph, Slick Money Grip, Richard M. Jeremiah, Edward Aliong, Brenda Sylvester, Rena Budu Jennings, CGO to New York, Brenda Isaac. Okay, we'll come to that shortly.
Does this happen to you all when you get sick?
What is that? Let me just finish up the hellos here. Mo Gaines and Dennis Prasad. Thank you so much for hitting us up this morning. I got Dan Raj, I got Sankofa, I got Michael across in London, England as well. Good morning. Was that Paul? Sorry.
I when I get sick, I grow. My nails grow. My hair grows fast. I grow.
Well,
Really?
I'm sick
Your nails and your hair grow at the same speed.
But it grows more when I'm sick. I don't know. I just generally have growth spurts when I'm sick.
Could be the
Everything
man.
gets longer.
Okay, that's interesting. I think I do a haircut every week, and I cut my nails every week too. Because I think my hair and my nails grow fast, whether I'm sick or not. Must be.
An interesting start to this weekend, a dramatic and interesting start this weekend. I couldn't describe it as very dramatic. On Friday in the House of Representatives. I mean, dramatic is not even the word to describe it. It was so dramatic it caused House Speaker of the House, Bridget Annisette George, off guard when the government was debating presenting the credentials for Wendell Lucas, Natasha George, and what's the other person's name?
Junior Benjamin.
And Junior Benjamin. So they started with the first person on the list, who is Wendell Lucas, who is the head of the police white collar crime unit and Minister of National Security. First of all, I was surprised that the Prime Minister didn't present the names, because that was what reported what was supposed to happen. So Minister Hines presented the credentials and spoke about Wendell Lucas's sterling career and all he'd done in his career and his acumen. And then when Bridget Annisette George, as is normal, Dr. Munira responded. It's usually a 1-1, there's no long debate.
Yeah.
And ask a couple of questions. And then Bridget Annisette George, the House Speaker, put the nomination to the vote. All in favor say aye. Silence. All in favor say aye. Silence again. So she got confused. As everybody else, because
Yeah.
I was surprised. Then somebody called for a division, which means everybody has to vote individually. And then the government all said no.
And then the opposition all abstained.
Which would have happened anyway.
Well, no. Here is my concern about what happened there, based on what I read. Because I didn't see it, I read it. Is that the government, through Minister Fitzgerald Hines, would have presented Wendell Lucas and spoke about him in glowing terms. Then the opposition would have come with some criticisms and pointed out some concerns that they had about Wendell Lucas, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Right. And then the government, I suspect, based on whatever information the opposition would have presented and what information came their way subsequently, this is my opinion now, right? Decided they will not support him. So I'm thinking, well, if the opposition is the one who brought the information, they will also say no, and then they abstain. So if you are the one who bring in the information about Wendell Lucas, and you have the concerns about him, the government took your, I would imagine, my opinion again, took your information and say, okay, well, let's not support this one now. And then you abstain. And you don't follow through with not supporting it. That is what confused me concerning that one. And that is why I am so wary about politicians and their games. I am tired of it. Tired of it. If the opposition has a concern about Wendell Lucas and rightfully brought it to the debate, say no.
And what about if the government had a concern about Wendell Lucas when they presented his credentials, when they knew they were going to say no?
Right. So that's
Should
my
they have
other
also presented their concerns?
So that's my other concern, Paul, in that if the
But isn't that the
government
primary concern, because the government is the one who brought the nomination came from the PS. Let me correct that.
Right.
And when the government was presenting his credentials,
I don't think they had a choice.
I mean, they didn't have a choice. They could have presented their concerns.
Paul, if the government gets a recommendation from the PSC, just like they did when they did the police commissioners, I don't know that it's their responsibility to express concerns when presenting those people to the parliament.
But isn't rejection the outright the most profound way of expressing your concern?
It is, and they
So
did
then
it
what's the
with
point?
commissioners. They did
By
it with
saying no,
commissioners.
you have expressed your deepest level of
I don't
concern.
think you following me. I don't think you follow me sometimes. You know. You so
I follow
bent
you, so
sometimes
you're not
on
making any sense.
you so bent sometimes on pogging the government. If the
Excuse
government
me?
gets
Excuse me?
let me tell
Excuse
you.
me?
No,
You're
Lord.
talking real crap this morning.
Let me
This
finish.
Monday morning, you're talking crap.
You ought to be able to
The
take
government said
criticism.
no.
You have to be able to take.
Which means the government had significant concerns.
Right.
And did not present the concerns.
Well, I don't know that it's the government.
Wendell,
Is it the government
you're so
responsibility?
bent on your propaganda that you can't even see the light of it.
You're not allowing me to talk.
I did for quite a while.
Okay. So let me ask this question. If the government, I asking you because you're the one who have the parliamentary experience, so I'm asking you, is it the government, if it's the government's responsibility when presenting someone that they have gotten from the PSC to the president, to the parliament, is it their responsibility to express those concerns when presenting the credentials of the person?
And this is not exclusive to Wendell Lucas. The government has before, and not only this government, gotten a merit list on the Police Service Commission, and have skipped past names in the past.
No, you have to present them and then say no.
Right. And have not acceded to the first, second, or third, or whatever names on the list.
That's the point I'm making, Paul.
And my point is that if you are going to present a name, which is your responsibility, the government has to present the names and credentials, and you have concerns in terms of full transparency, I think you should identify you have some concerns about this nominee, because you are going to have to vote at some point anyway, yes or no or abstain. So why not have full transparency and say X and Y is the case?
So Paul, and again, you're not. If you allow me to finish, you would have heard me say after I think the government owes an explanation. I think they do. Here why? Because the government presents the person. The credentials, they can't change those credentials when they're presenting them.
No,
so they have no choice. They have no choice but to present it as it is. Okay?
Yes.
The opposition responds, right? The opposition responded with concerns about Wendell Lucas, or with anybody for that matter. Let's not personalize this to Wendell Lucas, right? So the opposition is the one who responds to the credentials presented, right? The government could have taken the position, right? And this is why I'm asking you, of also saying something about their concerns before it went to a vote. Not so? I would imagine.
Which is my point.
Right. So I'm agreeing with that. That wasn't done. However, they went to a vote.
Which sounds strange to most people.
Yeah, it is strange.
And then there was this document that was circulating very quickly on social media, purporting to be X and Y and Z, which, I mean, I couldn't verify the information in it. And people were then wondering, because the Express newspaper had some quotations from it. Gary Griffith's name was in the document, and he had his piece to say. I think the catchphrase was "the government take chain up" or something like that. You understand? But the whole situation on Friday was extremely odd.
It was. I go in a little further than odd. I think it was embarrassing to Wendell Lucas.
It was embarrassing because, to me, I don't know how that poor man felt after that.
Yeah, I think it was
because
embarrassing.
He is still in the police service. He has to face his colleagues this morning after being roundly rejected by the government in the most public of forums.
But by the parliament, Paul. You don't just say the government. No,
by the parliament. I stand corrected, by the parliament. Right? But the government said no. Let's not pretend. Okay? You know what I mean.
The government said no, but you had to finish the story. The government said no, after the opposition criticized the man. They raised concerns.
And
The
the
opposition
government,
can't get
government
away.
has heard the opposition's criticisms in the past in many arenas and said yes.
The opposition can't get away with this one.
So what you're saying is because of the opposition's raised concerns that the government said no.
Well, we don't know.
That's my point. An explanation is owed.
We don't know. Yeah, I believe an explanation is owed.
Anyway,
I believe an explanation is
owed. It is the word people are using is bizarre, odd, strange.
Yeah,
Gideon Dixon is asking for an explanation. That's what the Police Social Welfare Association. Many people are asking for an explanation.
Yeah, because it's I have to admit it was odd, and it was very, to me, embarrassing to Mr. Lucas as to what happened in that parliament.
What if his career after this?
Yeah.
Because if the government could be so concerned about something which they have not verified yet, not because the opposition raises something, government ever takes it on. You don't have to take it on. If it is that the concerns raised by the opposition, the government felt were valid, we'll say so.
Well, that's what I think. I think that someone needs to explain that.
I don't think we get any explanation.
We are on the same page with that. I think it requires an explanation.
Because this man's career, I don't care what anybody says, is now tarnished by this exercise.
Yeah.
His reputation is a question mark over his reputation. Because of a lack of clarity of this exercise. I mean, I don't know. It was just bizarre. The other big news on the weekend, which has drawn the ire of the population, or sections of the population, let me say, because I'm seeing people for and against, is the information that the Salaries Review Commission is recommending, I would say, a substantial raise in salary for high-level public officials, including the Prime Minister. Now, there are very, very many schools of thought on this. One of the first, of course, coming out for debate in the public domain is the government has just completed a series of public sector negotiations and insisted on a 4% increase for public sector officials between, what time period is it? Let me just...
2013, I think.
I think it's 2016, but it could be 2013, I can stand corrected. Right? Over 6 years. Let me not speak to that. Over 6 years. And when calculated, the increase as recommended by the Salaries Review Commission for the Prime Minister amounts to about 26.7%, almost, almost 27%, which some would suggest is okay. The government saying holds train, times hard, take 4% for 6 years. You understand?
Yeah.
And now the Salaries Review Commission is saying that for the Prime Minister and more than 4% for other high-level public officials. How should people who accept it? It's 2014 to 16 and 2017 to 19. Right? How is the public to reconcile that? How? You understand? So aren't we all public servants at one level?
When I saw that, because I remember
it's always going to be seeming like, it have one rule for all, the next rule for we.
And the media typically zeroes in on the Prime Minister. I don't know why. When it involves so many
because he's the highest level, just below the president. You understand? Public official.
All I want to tell the government is that if at the end of the day you decide to bow to public pressure, because you're going to get a lot of pressure as expected, leave local government people alone. Let local government people get their slight increase. I'm no longer in local government, but local government people deserve it. If no one else deserves that increase, it's local government people.
The other side of that coin is, I would have sent you all over the weekend when this came out, comparative information on what prime ministers get throughout the region.
Yeah.
And Dr. Rowley's pay level is lower than most.
Yeah.
But that don't be correct from what I sent?
Yeah, people don't want to hear that, though.
No, I know they don't want to hear that, but I mean, comparatively, that's the other side of the argument, because you have to give all the relative information, in my view.
Yeah.
Let people make a decision as to whether they think it's appropriate or not.
People go to personalities when these things
I know, but you also have to look at comparative salaries.
Yeah.
For particular positions. And if we're talking about the issue, let's talk about the issue as a whole.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah. I also saw people making comparisons to certain professions in the United States, and they're paid that is more than the $80,000 a month. What I didn't understand with that recommendation, though, is the Prime Minister's pay going over the amount of the president. That has never happened before. That has never happened before. The president has always been the top paid one.
If the cabinet approves the recommendations, it will just take a simple majority in Parliament. And also, coming out of it, in a Newsday article, the SRC, Salary Review Commission, is also recommended in some instances a pay cut for judges, industrial court members.
For industrial court judges. That I didn't understand.
Yeah. How you get to that?
That one I didn't understand. That's the first time I've seen that. Somewhat salaries is recommended to go down.
Okay.
Yeah. Who we can get from the SRC? Do they speak publicly?
I don't know.
Because it requires an explanation. Maybe we could poll that today too. And you know what's two other stories that concerns me, right? One is another police killing where 3 people were killed. Right? One they call Dust Boss, I think. They call him Dust Boss because he liked to put up these posts where telling people if you have me dust for me. In other words, if you're owing me money now, bring it in. And I find him funny sometimes when I've seen those ones. But they say he also promotes violence and he denounces violence in some of his posts. But he was actually live on Instagram when the police came knocking at his door, right? You're hearing him telling the police officers, I'm coming out, I have nothing on me, and so on. So you hear him telling the police that. And then you hear him screaming in the picture with the police thing. And the police story, the police recall of the event is that they were shooting at the police and the police shot back. But he is live on Instagram and everybody's hearing this thing. His exchange with the police. I say, Lord TTPS, Lord, only fix it, Jesus. Fix Trinidad and Tobago. Fix it.
I have one question.
Body cams.
Were the police wearing body cams?
No, Paul.
No.
Okay. That's all I will ask. Again, were the police wearing body cams in what is no doubt a planned exercise for what may be considered high risk environments and persons? But again, the question comes up, were they wearing body cams? Someone made a really good point, Trini Bree, that the SRC report must be taken in context and look at the increases in terms of percentages, or not look at the increase in terms of percentages, but instead look at the total salary expense increase. So it may be that it gets to how much ever, 60,000 is it? Is it about that or 80,000? How much ever?
80.
In the context of the perks that you get to take it there.
And I think one of the perks was removed. One of them that I think he used to get 8,000 was removed. So it's in effect, I think they prorated it down to like an increase of 11,000 or so. Or there.
Now, comparatively, in terms of the region, should I would take the Prime Minister to jump about 12,000 US?
Probably.
80,000 TT is about that? Is it?
Yeah, about 12,000 US.
Right. Terence True, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, $55,500 US a year. Gaston Brown, St. Vincent and Grenadines, Ralph Gonzalez, $55,724 is the annual salary.
US.
US.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Andrew Holness, Jamaica, 58,550 US annually. Right? They're quoting Dr. Rowley as 85,655 US dollars a year.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So looking at it comparatively, it kind of paints a different kind of picture also, you know. Is it comparative to other regional leaders? But again, one of the points of the conversation in Trinidad and Tobago is going to always be what public servants increases recently. If it's on parity with what high-level public officials proposed to get.
Well, except that the SRC report covers a longer period than the public servants covered. Because I remember the last time it came up for debate, it was soundly rejected. The opposition also did not support it, and it ended there. The government also withdrew their intention to increase, and it ended there. That happened about 5 or so years ago, I think. You know, it never went any further. Lando is saying the person on the live was a guy called Elman, and he was not killed. He was in the same apartment. Okay, I stand corrected, Lando.
Okay, the correction is 80,000 a year, if I misspoke. Again, I have one question with that. I said it already. Were the police wearing body cams? The answer is seemingly no. And my response is I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised one bit.
Not surprised at all.
Yeah, I am just not surprised.
Yeah. Lanyap was a huge success over the weekend in the Savannah, Queen's Park Savannah. It was a very good show put on by Trinidad. It was well attended. And, well, you know, a lot of the people, the foreigners, the visitors/foreigners, they go to those shows. And it was a good show. It was a very good show. And people who didn't hear All Stars and Renegades, and they played back-to-back, could have determined for themselves. Again, in my humble opinion, I'm a All Stars fan. You know how I feel about All Stars. When Renegades won, though, a couple years ago, I said Renegades deserve to win. But you see this year, after listening to All Stars and Renegades back-to-back, I'm convinced All Stars won that Panorama. They could not have tied it with Renegades. After listening to both of them played on Saturday. Back-to-back. I'll leave it there. But it was a good show. Well done, Pat.
Would you like me to record it so that I can play it every other day so that you'd have to say it every other day? I can record it and just press the button. You'd have to say it every other day. You could say this and breath. You know that, right? Would you like me to record it or edit it out and play it back?
You mean with me saying All Stars won the Panorama?
Yeah. I can record that, and I can record you saying the Soca Mafia didn't win against Michael Anette. I can record that too and put them together. So you'd have to say it every other day.
Michael Anette came on stage, and he also did a kind of mini concert for the people. You know, he didn't just sing his hit. He did a kind of mini concert and engaged the crowd and so on. It was nice. Marshall also performed, you know, and he also engaged the crowd. It was a nice lanyard. Well done, Trinidad and Beverly Ramsey Moore again.
Did the rescuers find the family in Mount St. Benedict?
Family
Family that became lost at my Mount St. Benedict.
Okay, I don't know that story.
On February 17th.
What is today's date?
The 19th.
19th?
Today's the 19th, sir.
Already? How come?
You having some blackouts here. You having some blackouts, you know that, right? Oh yeah, somebody said they found them, thank God. The family of a husband, wife, and the two children became lost. They called the E99 number, and the Northern Division Operations Center activated the TTPS Coast and Air Support Unit and the fire service, and family was apparently found and taken to safety. Dr. Rowley is in Guyana, and will deliver the feature address at the opening ceremony of Guyana's 2024 Energy Conference and Supply Expo today. Theme of the event is fueling transformation and modernization. I'm sure the issues related to that oil spill will take center stage at some point. And I'm seeing so many TikTok misinformation videos being circulated.
The AI one with Joe
The
Biden.
AI one with Joe Biden, which is clearly false, which is clearly fake.
Yeah, it's obvious.
Which is clearly fake.
Mm.
You know? And I'm wondering, you're already serious?
Mm.
You're already looking at that and think it's worth sharing?
Well,
I don't know. Never a dull moment.
never.
When you look at it, you see it's so fake, it ain't funny.
Yeah, it's clearly fake.
It's fake like a $75 bill.
Yeah, the mouth movement is just
It is as fake as a $75 bill.
Yeah.
But you're all sharing it.
Well.
And people commenting, you see what I tell you? I know.
Yeah.
Really? It's not even a good deep fake.
True. Now that one was kind of easy to figure out. I don't understand how people
could not figure out. If you figure out it easy to figure out, it fake, why are you sharing it?
Yeah.
If you know it fake, why are you sharing it? or you have an agenda, okay. Clearly. Anyway.
What else is in the news? Of course,
the oil spill continues. It is getting international attention by more networks, as oil spills tend to do in the world, because of the dangers they pose to ecosystems. And in what many are saying is not a surprise internationally, is the death of a significant opposition figure in Russia, Alexei Navalny. Yeah. Who authorities say suffered, it's happened in Trinidad too sometimes, sudden death syndrome. Maybe he fell off a chair in the prison.
Could be.
The Russian authorities tell the world that Navalny suffered sudden death syndrome. You know what it's called, sudden death syndrome? What's the main cause of sudden death syndrome?
Heart failure, I guess.
No, going against Vladimir Putin. That is the main cause. That is the main cause of sudden death syndrome. Going against Vladimir Putin in Russia.
A month before an election.
More than likely suffer sudden death syndrome.
A month before an election, eh?
You going against Vladimir Putin, you better check your vitals, because you're going to suffer sudden death syndrome, especially if you're in a prison. And there are leaders in the world who will not condemn this man. You know that?
And the family
there
is
are world leaders who will not condemn him, believe it or not.
And the family is actually requested for his body, and they told them, no, not yet.
But the other kind of drain the poison out first.
That's what it implied.
That is drain out that sarin gas.
Yeah. Remember they tried to kill him before, they tried to poison him.
Body, before they release it.
Yeah. They tried to poison him before.
You really feel Putin and the Russian authorities care what anybody think?
No, they don't.
They don't.
Is it North or South Korea? Which one? Which one's the one with you?
North.
Kind of crazy, man. Who really care about nobody?
North.
Putin don't care about nobody.
Yeah, they don't care.
I noticed the news about is it Crimea? Where they went in the other day. So out of news, I can't remember. Where did the Russia invade the other day? The Green Gornias? This week. And the invasion still going on, eh?
And your sounds like popular, familiar, but I don't know the story you're talking about.
No, man, it was big news the other day when they was telling them to go and they draw the line and Ukraine,
okay.
Ukraine. Russia still invading Ukraine, right? You all know that, right?
Yeah.
Everybody ain't reporting it again because it's old news now.
Yeah, it's old news.
You have Israel, Palestine.
That's also old news too. You ain't hearing much about that either.
But they're covering it a lot. But it's astounding that there are some world leaders who have not condemned Vladimir Putin for Alexei Navalny's death while in state custody in Russia. Prison authorities say he suffered sudden death syndrome. That could be a cocktail to her.
Yeah, beat you on your foot when you're sleeping.
Well, if you beat you on your foot, you be sleeping.
Well, whilst you're asleep.
You could beat somebody on the different
Somebody don't tell me you've never heard of that.
But not while they're sleeping.
Yes, it's while they're sleeping.
But if you're telling if you're going to get up, though.
Well, no, you're going to die. You're going to die. You're not gonna
one lash on your foot going to kill you.
Well, however they do it, I don't know if it's a particular part of the foot they say you have to be it. I don't know. I've heard of those stories. You don't get up. You die.
You had your coffee this morning?
I haven't had my coffee as yet.
Yeah, having some cognitive lapses, eh?
No, but I've heard of it. I don't know how true it is, but I've heard of it. You know? But I'm seeing a story here, though, that I didn't pick up before, that it says more than 1,500 recruits of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service have been affected by the cancellation of an examination they were scheduled to sit last Saturday. It says the examination was postponed due to an alleged IT problem. What's going on with TTPS and the IT?
Really? I know Saturday they had exams.
No, it didn't happen. That's what the story is saying. It didn't happen. It's been postponed to March 2nd because of an alleged IT problem. Somebody sabotaging the TTPS. Somebody sabotaging Miss Christopher. They're making Miss Christopher look bad all how. I want to believe that's what's happening.
Oh, no, we have some very interesting people on our chat.
We do.
Corey Jilks saying, my God, it's the Ukraine. And that was a case of what is called preemptive self-defense, which ironically was a term created by the US. And let's be clear, Navalny was a known CIA asset and the white nationalist who was strongly advised by the Russians to stay out of the country, not only because of his health issues, but his CIA handlers made sure that when he returned to the country, do the research.
Okay, Corey.
That's the Corey.
Oh, God. Corey write a novel, boy.
Yeah.
Well, Corey, we read your message. As you see how democratic we are, we read your message. You really have an opposing view.
Corey, would you like me to put your message up for everybody to read it so that I didn't misquote you? Just put a yes below and I'll put it up on the thing so everybody can see it.
While he does that, let's say good morning to a few people that also messaged us, like Nakisha Pierre, Shuin Kerr, Leo Henry, Aries, Samuel Paul, Trini B, Edward Aliang, CPT Singh, Frank Clark, Slick Money Grip, Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida, Lando, Ian R. Joseph, Mrs. R is on. Could you let Richard log on, please? Ian R. Joseph, good morning to you. Terrence Brown, wow, look at messages. Yvette McKee, Khalil Cupid. He says yes, Paul.
Right. So
this is any debate.
Message. But that's why we read it. We don't fear debate either. We're not offering our perspective alone. That's why I wanted to put up here so people will know I misquote you. There you go. That's Corey's perspective. Here we go.
Everybody gets to see it.
Everybody gets to see. Right, Corey? So you are now global. Perspective.
You know, I was asked about this, and I'm happy that you did this. When you're actually looking at the YouTube on your television set, you don't see the comments, eh? We see it.
No, you don't.
We and the people who are on their laptop see it. But you don't actually see it on the television set.
What television set?
Like if I go on my TV now and I put on YouTube, the comments.
Okay, I don't know.
You never look back at a show or something.
And here's Terence Brown's perspective, which seems contrary. All opposition leaders who continue to die in Russia are CIA agents. Russia is a free democratic country. All for democracy here. There you all go.
The debate has started.
And that's what we like. We like that. When people respectfully, I have no problem with that. We could always agree to disagree respectfully. I have no problem with that. That's why I put up Corey's Jilk's perspective. Okay, let's roll into newspapers today.
I can do the Guardian for you.
All right, thank you. Let me start. It's Monday, the 19th of February, 2024. Front page, mystery white powder. Police probe unidentified package found near Tobago oil spill vessel.
Yeah, I saw that and I wasn't sure if it was a true story.
Hiking family found after 4-hour search. An expose called Forced into Addiction. Track down solo creed. Maritime attorney Nairi Alfonso says she has uncovered new information about the mysterious oil spill which has stained parts of the Tobago coastline. The Children's Authority says kids at risk plan to intervene and seek the interests of the unidentified child who watched in shock as a brutal stabbing and fatal unfolded at a KFC restaurant in Gaspar. That's another horrible story. Man stab a man, next man. Tobago probe white powder near Tobago spill. Or police, probe white powder near Tobago spill. Earlier eager to work with 2 new DCPs. And opposition MP Saddam Hussein called on the government to explain why they rejected Wendell Lucas was nominated by the Police Service Commission for the position of Deputy Commissioner of Police. Lucas is head of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service White Collar Unit. So that's Express. Go ahead, please, Wendell, with the Guardian.
All right. Today's Guardian, today, of course, is Monday, February 19th. And it reads, Hines must explain. Rejected DCP candidate wants answers. Police union to send letters to minister and TTPS finds development strange. All that's on the front page. As sub-headlines, Farley says oil spill cleanup almost done. PCA probe into police killings begins today. TNT makes strides in reducing poverty, so says the UN. All that's on the front page of today's Guardian. And of course, inside stories, police union explains strange rejection of DCP nominee, another glitch in TTPS recruitment. UNC gives special grant to Fisher Folk. Farley clarifies oil spill cover-up claims. All that is in our stories trending in today's Guardian. And in sport, let me just get sport for you. Puran Blast half centuries. And there's a picture of football under the caption head-to-head. Luton Town's Tiden Mengi jumps for the ball with Manchester United's Marcus Rashford during the English Premier League football match at Kenilworth Road in Luton, England yesterday. All right, so that's today's Guardian.
Let's move to the news there now. UNC downstream energy sector on brink of collapse. Chief Secretary, Guyana expert appeal for regional disaster plan. KFC staff receiving counseling after restaurant murder. UNC, is it safe to fish in Tobago? 2 Tobago schools remain closed. Tanko calls for full reinstatement of judges' political police detail. It's another story. I think we flagged it on Friday, where Justice Frank Pascal was asking for his security detail to be reinstated. And local supporters of Israel march around the Red House. I think it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Local lost hikers rescued by police. Top cop commends officers for carnival service. And Prime Minister traveled to Guyana. SRC says no increase for judges, pay cut for industrial court members. So those are trending stories, New Express, Guardian, and Newsday for today, Monday, the 19th of February, 2024.
Yeah. Did you all see that they found some packages next to that wreck in Tobago?
That's the story that came out just now, but I wasn't sure if it was a true story.
Apparently it's true. We saw it yesterday afternoon or something like that.
But packages of what?
Something resembling drugs. Leave it like that.
You mean a white powdery substance?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what has been reported.
Maybe salt?
Yeah, so
Or boxer.
Before we get into this morning's poll,
I thought about that when I heard that the boat was supposedly towing the barge disappeared. That's the first thing I thought about. That it was not only hydrocarbons it was carrying.
Yeah, I thought about that myself.
You know,
But we haven't heard about the crew, eh?
Well, the tug has disappeared, and the crew has disappeared. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows anything about the crew.
It'll be very interesting if they test that substance and find it to be drugs. Very interesting.
I was speaking with a mariner over the weekend, and he said if a tug is pulling the barge, and the tug has some issues and breaks down, usually what happens that the barge will now come up onto the tug because it has a momentum and hit the tug. So we don't know if that happened. I said, okay. All right. Poll results from Friday, where we asked you, do you agree do you agree that police officers were overworked for Carnival 2024? That was our poll on Friday. The results are in. 73%, 73 said no.
Okay.
All right. So let's get into this morning's poll, guys.
We do the salary or the
salary.
explanation on the police?
This salary, we can do the explanation tomorrow because I'm sure.
Yeah, we can do salaries today
Because
because we do have
the Salaries Review Commission that the salary packages of senior public officials be increased. So we're going to ask a very simple question this morning. Do you agree with the SRC's recommendations of salary increases for high-level public officials? Yes or no?
That's our simple poll this morning, people.
Yeah.
If you put names in it, it was study poll.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. All right. So that's our question this morning. Very simple. Do you agree with the SRC's recommendations of salary increases for high-level public officials? Yes or no?
All right. 222-8255. North Americans celebrating their President's Day holiday today, or those in Canada. 866-525-1099 on WhatsApp at 318-1021. All right. That's our poll question once again. Do you agree with the SRC's recommendation of salary increases for high-level public officials?
Well, public officials, because local government is low level, eh? And they also have a recommendation for an increase.
I didn't see any a pay increase for senators.
Yes, senators are members of parliament, without portfolio. That's how
Paul, my good friend, Paul, how you doing?
It's my back pay I want, man. I ain't gonna get no increase, but I'll get a little back pay.
You all taking votes or no?
No,
Yeah, Boy Bidesi said no.
Me.
Lester Cragwell said no. Gregory Boyer says yes.
What says you, caller?
Good morning, gentlemen. Sandy Grandy, yes.
All righty, Grandy, thank you. Sunny San Fernando.
Sandy Grandy, you make me a lie. I was writing no,
Sunny San Fernando says no to the poll. DL says no. Lester Crigwell says give them the same 4%. Oh, Lord. Long Islander. Good morning, Long Islander, saying no. Good morning to Trinity in Boston. I guess you're back in Boston. Wayne B says yes. Do you agree with the SRC's recommendation of salary increases for high-level public officials? That's a poll. Do you agree with it?
Did Trinity in Boston vote?
No, I just saw her say hey, good morning just now. Beefy Smith up in Goodwood, Tobago. Beefy, give me a scoop, as the people say in Tobago about that barge. But he says no. Slick Money Grip says yes. David Frost. Hey, I had a friend called David Frost. I have a friend called David Frost. Says no.
You missed out KM.
No, I did KM. All right. Do you agree with the SRC's recommendation of salary increases for high-level public officials? Yvette says Yes to the poll. Good morning, Yvette. Finbar Collins says, hell yes. And check WhatsApp. You can WhatsApp at 318-1021. You can call the studio direct at 222-8255. Yeah, you send us a message on Facebook and on YouTube. I'll get it right here on my screen. All right. Do you agree with the SRC's recommendation of salary increases for high-level public officials?
Rich Roman have the phone around with you this morning. You don't give me the call this weekend already.
Paul, you and I have to stay out of this poll, so don't encourage people to vote.
Paul,
because next thing you know, Zena collecting a little raise from your increase so she could buy medication for you.
I can't believe you didn't.
Some collecting raises for me.
Paul, Zena gave you the code, right? She gave you the code. So you're taking medication. And what did you say earlier on when we started? When you take medication, what happens? It's a plan.
Again, you are misquoting everything because your brain is malfunctioning. I said when I get sick. I never say when I take medication. Again, you're misquoting. Typical Steve.
Everything grows.
No. Well, you said Zena gave it to you, so there you go.
Finbar Collins says, couldn't believe that small money Tanti Kamla was getting. I would have been missing Parliament as well with that small money.
Oh, good.
But she also gets a pension as Prime Minister too, eh? So she is the one who will be getting the most at the end of the day.
CJ New York says yes.
Mm-hmm. I think her money will almost double, eh?
I'll check it for you now. Eve, good morning. Eve out in Sugar Gorners says no. Thank you, Eve.
CJ says yes.
Did you all see Marion Bruce's Carnival wrap-up?
You know, I see that going wild and I refuse to watch it. I can't watch 4 and 5 minute things.
It's kind of funny.
So I guess it is.
It goes,
I wouldn't know though.
Let me see. I'm checking it here for you, Wendell. The opposition leader, current salary is $29,590. That will go up to $47,500.
That's $18,000 extra every month. Yeah. And then she'll get she'll benefit from the pension also to as Prime Minister.
Yeah. The president current salary is $64,270. That is going up to $73,920, an increase of $9,650. Let's see. The Prime Minister current salary $59,680 is now going to $80,000, an increase of $20,320.
But I think they're also dropping one of the allowances he gets at like 8,000 something a month. They're dropping that. He'll no longer be getting that.
Okay. Marcia Rock says yes to the poll. John Cato says no to the poll.
I also saw that Bob Marley movie, One Love Over the Weekend. Fantastic. Brilliant movie.
Okay. DL is telling me here. What movie, Paul?
One Love, Bob Marley.
Bob Marley.
Oh, I have to see that. DLC says, Steve, tell Wendell that the comments section on the TV version of YouTube can be activated. But it's not as robust as on the computer.
But how can it be activated? I don't know. If they could tell me.
It's probably there somewhere.
If they could tell me.
The Speaker of the House, current salary $29,590. Proposed increase $42,500, an increase of $12,910. Senate President $29,590, same as the Speaker, and that is now
701, right?
Say again?
It's 701.
Is it? Oh, it's 701. All right, so let me just finish this up. Senate President $29,590, proposed $39,300, an increase 9,710. All right, let's get into our news before Paul buffs again. Here we go.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Monday, the 19th of February, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 7 a.m. on News Power Digital. First, the headlines. A family is rescued following a hiking misadventure in the vicinity of Mount St. Benedict. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley to deliver the feature address at the opening ceremony of Guyana's 2024 Energy Conference. Police sources say they're investigating the packet of unidentified powdery substance found near the unidentified barge off Tobago. Guyana's vice president says online teaching on the cards if the strike continues. And the US and UK ambassadors laying Navalny's flowers near Navalny's to Russia to lay tributes. In Russia to pay tributes. We have details coming up next. This is news to 7 a.m. on News Power Digital. Good morning. A family is rescued following a hiking misadventure at 5:30 p.m. on February 17th. The E999 Command Center was contacted by a family of hikers who became lost in the vicinity of Mount St. Benedict. The Northern Division Operations Center was informed and they immediately activated the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Coastal and Air Support Unit, the TT Fire Service. According to information provided at around 4:40 p.m., the family of 4, husband, wife, and 2 children, started a hike on the northern range in the vicinity of Mount St. Benedict to the popular flag site. The family was eventually found safe and returned to their home. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley will deliver the feature address at the opening ceremony of Guyana's 2024 Energy Conference and Supply Expo today, Monday. Dr. Rowley traveled to Guyana yesterday, Sunday. The theme of the event is fueling transformation and modernization. It aims to foster the exchange of innovative ideas, proposals, and strategies for substantial advancements in the energy sector in the region. Investigators have confirmed the packet containing a white powdery unknown substance. Police sources say the substance will be analyzed to determine if it is illegal and found near the barge off the cove in Tobago. A number of police vehicles were observed entering and exiting the now closed off area at Cove in Tobago late yesterday evening. Acting Commissioner of Police Tobago, Collis Hazel, told the media the find is being looked into. He said he was awaiting word from his officers on the case. A police report said that around 3:30 p.m., WPC Reed Sammy, in company of PC Clark, responded to a report of a suspicious package on the shoreline at Cove Industrial Estate. Upon arrival, WPC Sammy spoke to an employee of the company who said she and her crew were cleaning the shoreline when another worker found a black plastic bag which contained another package which had the white powdery substance inside. Investigations are continuing. President of the Police Social and Welfare Association, Acting ASP Gideon Dixon, is calling for a full-scale investigation as to why the government rejected Assistant Commissioner of Police Wendell Lucas for the position of Deputy Commissioner of Police last Friday. Yesterday, Dixon described Lucas's rejection as strange, and he called for government to provide answers. Lucas was nominated number 1 on the merit list from the Police Service Commission, but in a stunning move in the House of Representatives last Friday, Lucas was rejected after being praised for his accomplishments, long service, and dedication to the police service by National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines. And opposition MP Saddam Hussein is also calling the government to explain why they rejected Wendell Lucas, who was nominated by the PSC. Hussein further stated the government must answer whether a letter circulated on social media and dated June 22nd, 2023, from the former fraud squad head Tutaram Duki to senior superintendent of police Suzette Martin had anything to do with the government's decision. 2 men and an 18-year-old woman were shot and killed by police in Tunapuna early Saturday morning during what a senior officer described as an exchange of gunfire. Seconds before the shooting, one of the victims, Shaquille Dust Boss McGregor, 29, was on Instagram Live with 6 people viewing when the officer came knocking at the door of his Lovell Street Montegrand home around 5 a.m. Also killed in the exchange with Jadelle Otley, 18, who was said to be pregnant, and another man who was only identified as Silence up to late yesterday evening. Following the shooting, the 3 were taken to the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex in Mount Hope, where they were all pronounced dead upon arrival. Political analyst Dr. Vishnu Ragoobarsingh believes the SRC's recommendation to increase the salaries of the country's top public officials can only be viewed as obscene, and the government may face a pushback from the population. Dr. Ragoobarsingh was giving his take on the recommendations. He said, quote, the fact that public servants were given a 4% hike over 6 years could only be seen as obscene that the Prime Minister would take a 30% hike when they call on the population to hold strain. Ragoobarsingh said the offer the government put on the table for the public sector employees was hardly one that would get the vast support of the population, end quote. While Cabinet has to accept the recommendations, Dr. Ragoobarsingh said it would come to Parliament for a vote and would only require a simple majority to pass. In news of the region, Guyana's Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo said the Education Ministry may have to explore online methods to ensure students are provided with tuition, referencing the period during COVID-19's pandemic when online teaching was the order of the day. Jagdeo stated that most teachers did not teach during that period, but they were still paid. His comments come as teachers took to the streets for day 9 on Friday of what may soon be titled an indefinite strike. And finally, U.S. and UK ambassadors to Moscow have laid flowers to honor Alexei Navalny, the Russian opposition leader who died in prison on Friday. U.S. Ambassador Lynn Tracy and Britain's Nigel Casey were pictured paying their respects at a memorial in Moscow. Navalny's allies believe he was murdered on the orders of President Vladimir Putin. Prison authorities say he suffered sudden death syndrome. To end our news to 7 here, the headlines. Once again, a family is rescued following a hiking misadventure in the vicinity of Mount St. Benedict in St. Augustine. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley to deliver the feature address at the opening ceremony of Guyana's 2024 Energy Conference and Supply Expo today, Monday. Police sources say they're investigating the packet of unidentified powdery substance found in a bag off the cove in Tobago. And U.S. and UK ambassadors paid tribute to Navalny in Moscow as he is found dead in prison this past week. That is news to 7 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming up at 12 noon once again, with headlines coming up at 8 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right, thank you, Paul, for our major news. We have a news brief coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. 26 degrees on both islands. The Met Office is saying today it's going to be sunny, hazy, and breezy. It will be interrupted by partly cloudy spells with the isolated shower. This evening will be mostly fair, hazy, despite the isolated shower as well. A mild to moderate concentration of Sahara dust is present in the atmosphere. All right. Right. While we wait for our guest quickly, we will also have to give you the results of our morning poll. Let me just see if there's any issues on the highways and the byways. I guess most people back out to work. Where you think you're going to get traffic, you will get traffic this morning. All right. So, yeah. Back out to work. The airport was apparently, I just heard, was very busy over the weekend. All right, let's get the results of our morning poll, and hopefully our guest.
Well, we had three voters saying so. We had Oliver Manwaring saying no. We had Carol Guevara saying yes. Jean Clark saying yes. All right, and the one before that, I didn't realize the person voted. Una Antoine voted at the end. Said, "Foolish think is that." And people are suffering in this country? No. So they actually voted. So the results of the poll actually was 1 vote difference. 11 people said yes, that they do agree with it, and 12 said no. 11 said yes, and 12 said no. All right? So those are the results of our poll. Paul and I stand to benefit from whatever increases come the way. I benefit only from a back pay. But Paul will benefit from a little increase. Paul, what does senators go to? What does members of parliament go to? I think it's 17.5 or something. I can't remember. Steve, what is it?
I didn't read it fully yet.
Steve has it there. He has a bar chart, a chart where it was and where it's going to, and what is the difference. See what is member of parliament?
Well, the different types of senators. So I guess senators with portfolio will get different increases.
Yeah, but it'll come under the category member of parliament.
Members of parliament, Current salary is 17,410. That will go up to 20,668, an increase of $3,258.
Yeah. So that is what senators without portfolio will get, or members of parliament without portfolio.
I forgot to say log on to power12fm.com.
Yeah, you read Slick Money Grip.
I find Mrs. Zara, she didn't answer because she might not come on this morning and we don't know where he is. And I must presume she don't know where he is neither.
Playing? He had played for a whole weekend.
She didn't answer this morning, you know. When he have playing tongue, he sleep in tongue, you know, so he don't come home, so she didn't answer in the morning after. What you gonna do?
Yeah, the boy has so much options as to where to sleep. So
of course, sleep by the outside the morning time. She get it calling on the phone, and I know it's a side man, but you don't know it's a side woman. There's a difference. How would the drama this coming in?
Our guest is Mr. Anette, isn't it?
Yes, waiting for him to come on.
But Mr. Anette has already said he's not in favor of it, so he's already publicly said he's not in favor of it. What are union people getting? Maybe I should ask him that. We'll go that argument this morning. That is fight this morning between me and Comrade.
Oh, yes.
I want to know what union leaders get every month.
He said that given the allowances and perks afforded to parliamentarians, they should stand in solidarity with the challenges facing the ordinary citizens by foregoing a portion of their salaries rather than simply passing measures that penalize the population. He said, cut your salary by 25% and sacrifice on the top, not the bottom.
You know, these things are always so... There'll never be a proper timing for it. So
it is always going to be controversial.
Always.
When people are being asked to tighten their belts. It is always going to be seen as self-serving.
All right.
I remember some years ago, even during, because we now have more difficult times and boom times these days. It was unanimously passed in the House, if I remember correctly. And people found it to be self-serving because I know there's a clause that said you need to declare your interest when you're speaking on or voting on any bill or amendment to a bill that will offer a benefit to yourself.
Yeah. It can come across as a conflict.
Yeah.
But is it a benefit to yourself or is it a benefit to yourself?
Paul Michael is waiting to be let in.
Well, he's not waiting where I can see. So. Okay. Nope. Not there yet.
All right. So we waited on Mr. Michael Anette to discuss the salary recommendations, salary review, and people are going along the road like if it happened already, like a fait accompli.
No, the cabinet has to approve it first of all. It's a recommendation to the cabinet. And if the cabinet approves it, then it goes to the House to debate, and it will, if it is to pass, all it requires is a simple majority.
Yeah.
So there are still some steps to be executed before it gets to that stage.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right, Wendell.
Yeah.
It is not a fait accompli.
It's
as
not.
many people may feel it is.
Because the last time, I can't remember, I'm sure it happened under this government too, where they just decided they're not going to bother with it because of the mood of the country and all the opposite, all the.
And you never know. The government may say, this is not the time for that.
Yeah, they may say it again.
Given the state of play and also the fact that the government has held fast to its public sector wage increase of 4% over the designated period. You understand?
Yeah.
So, and also, isn't the RIC thing supposed to be accepted soon, or
that's the recommendation for rate increases,
rate hike? If I remember correctly. Steve, can you tell me something? I'm not seeing him on the system at all.
Yeah, I told him that.
Maybe is he on a phone or a tablet without Chrome? Because I won't see him.
Yeah, it doesn't come up.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's take some calls by the time. I don't know. Can we? Can we hear from the people by the time? You know, we are people. We are here for the people. We want. DL, thanks. I took a picture of your comments and I'll try it when I actually doing it on television. When I'm actually looking at it on television. How to get the comments on YouTube on television. I took a picture of what you said. So thanks, DL. I don't know if what DL means. We know what DL means in certain worlds, but I don't know what it means here. What did you say, Steve? What did Steve say? Down low? Oh.
I didn't hear clearly. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
It escaped my auditory apparatus. Morning, Zena. Time for you to call you. Wake up. Don't make me look bad here with I'm not crazy, Steve. That's what you see. And he's logged on already. Tell him log off and try logging back on. And he's been on before, so it shouldn't be problematic.
He must be done here. Mr. Anette must be done here. I want to ask him what are the union leaders' salaries and he says.
Enter this studio. He needs to press enter this studio. Sometimes they don't do that.
Yes, because you actually think you're on unless you press enter the studio.
Unless you press enter the studio.
Yeah.
And it all works wonders. Look at that. I'm feeling less congested now. And Zena gave me this before I left this morning. She said, think of this when you ingest. Think of me when you ingest it. Right, you touch that. Good. Right.
Thank God. Why did Mr. Anette just come down in the studio?
Right.
I am actually hearing Steve guiding Mr. Anette through this process, but he's been on with us so many times.
He's been before, so I don't know.
Anyway.
When all that's failed, the good old phone.
That's all. Call him.
Call him. When all that's failed, go back to the good old phone.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, folks, this week it's a public holiday in the United States. I didn't even know that because I was actually supposed to have been in the United States all now. So I didn't even know that.
But President's Day?
But they went home. I know they woke up to snow all over. When it was this weekend, yeah, someday this weekend. Because I saw a post from a couple people.
Right, here he is.
Left Trinidad to go back.
Hey, man.
Morning.
Morning.
Like
Yes,
it's like you're accustomed doing this with your
technical problems. That is when we using technology. These things do happen from time to time. Yeah, pleasant morning to you and your listening.
Nothing that a little increase in pay won't fix, Mr. Anette.
Well, are you making a case to you? I will represent you.
I don't need an increase.
You don't need an increase?
I need my back.
It means that Paul paying you well, boy.
No, but I am actually thinking of going up for some union leader or something. So I hear they pay well good.
No.
What is the pay of a union leader, Mr. Anette?
The average pay of a union leader could be around 19 to 2, depending on the union. The minimum I am giving you is 14,000, and the maximum could be around 25,000.
So you are the 25, right?
No. I am not that fortunate. I haven't had a wage increase for more than 12 years or more.
Why is that so?
Yeah. Because I recognize the economics of the union. It is on union dues, and I took a conscious decision to reinvest the union into business. And when we are at a comfortable level, we could talk about wage increases.
Okay. All right. Is that the position of all other union leaders?
What's that?
Is that the position of all other union leaders? Did they
I
all...
I cannot speak for all other unions. Every union is an independent body who will have their own policies. Just like our Guyana government have a policy, Trinidad government, Barbados government. All right, it cannot apply across the board. That is the position that I would have taken. The need to develop and concretize our financial stability before we do anything. That is why we invested our money, and we would have run some businesses which the government stopped.
It's interesting though that you would have referenced unions and union leaders to governments. It's interesting.
No, I said which the government stopped the business that we got from the government. So we are investing our money in other assets and platforms now.
Okay. All right. No problem.
All right. So a large portion of the conversation over the last couple of days has been based on the salary reviews.
You're sounding soft this morning, but I don't know what is causing that. That is not like you.
It's nice, my sister. You hear me better now?
Yes, I'm much here. Yeah.
Right. All right. The Salary Review Commission's recommendation of pay hikes to high-level public officials, and of course, you are quoted in one of the newspapers this morning as saying you are not in agreement with that. Would you care to clarify for us, please?
No, who am quoted me as saying that?
Paul is asking a question.
No, he said somebody quoted me as saying that. And I would like to know who.
I'm trying to find it.
Because the NATO's position is clear, which I will articulate.
Well, could you articulate NATO's position for us, please? Can you articulate NATO's position for us?
Yeah, well, what we are saying that the Salary Review Commission would have articulated and would have given us credos in the sense, and I must say that in the sense of the increases that they would have proposed for Parliamentary and the Prime Minister and everybody else. But more importantly, they made it retroactive, and it's for some of the same periods that we were arguing that a 4% over those periods cannot and will not cut it. It will have workers, and more particularly the public servants and the dock workers, the MTS workers, the transport workers, the WASA workers, and I can go on, the daily rated workers. It will lead them into what we call a salary deficit, a deficiency in salary, given the cost of living, given the loss of purchasing power. And therefore, any increases must be reflective of that reality. And the principle of living wages and decent wages must govern the principle of paying workers in Trinidad and Tobago, and more so government employees. Bearing in mind that government is the biggest employer in Trinidad and Tobago. So we have no issues with increases for the hard-working parliamentarians and all the chief secretaries, the president, etc. But what we are saying that increases at that level should not be stymied for only a few people. It cannot be that you have a society that you build that kind of disparity in salaries, which obviously will have social consequences.
So you're not in favor, you're not against the proposed increases for high-level public officials, but it must be on parity with the general workforce in the public sector, and I guess
yes, that is the point that I'm making, because our analysis and some of the increases, not all the increases, would have reflected what we would have proposed for increases for our membership over the 3-year period.
Do you think this is going to have any impact on the government's position if it is accepted by cabinet on the steadfast 4% that the government that has been offered to public sector workers?
One will hope that better sense will prevail, and I will say it publicly that now that the position has been made clear by the Salary Review Committee, which is an independent body, that the government should now revisit their proposals of the steadfast and what I want to say arrogant approach that take it or leave it, let the court decide and meet with the trade union movement and let us put our collective wisdom together and come up with something that is much more decent for government employees than the 4% over the 6-year period.
Do you have any sense of what metrics is used by the SRC to
well, I cannot answer because you would have seen a disparity in increases in terms of the sums and the percentum. Okay, so one has to take a look at that because the percentage in increases was not across the board for everybody. The same percentum increases, and therefore we would like to look at what went into the minds of that committee to come up with the different percentum increases for the different categories of workers. I just call our prime minister a worker. Yeah.
Well, he's a public servant, yes. In public official, he's working for the public.
Because there are in fact public servants, and it's we the taxpayers have to pay them too. And I want to make that point to the general public. There isn't a special fund that is put aside for the president or a parliamentarian or the Senate president or the House Speaker or a member of parliament or the chief secretary. It's taxpayers' money have to pay them, just like how taxpayers' money have to pay the public servants and the government daily rated workers and statutory and state enterprises workers who falls under the ambit of the government.
Very often, different approaches may be taken in terms of assessing whether salaries are appropriate in any particular jurisdiction. Some people use
your voice gone down low again, but I don't know
some people, you hear me now. Some people use comparative salaries with the regional counterparts. Some people use values of production. Some people use economic state. Has there any information been given in the past whereby even when government is, any particular government, not necessarily this one, proposing a particular percentum, as you call it, for, in this case, 4%, to justify this is where the state will offer, this is what the state will offer, or is that just given without any explanation to the trade union?
No, all the government would have said, and I think the general public is quite aware, is that, listen, we can only afford 4%, 0.0. There is no consolidation of COLA, which was a historical antecedent, without any form of discussions, and on the basis that if you want to get more, well, we want to send people home. Take care, you get what you want, and we have to send people home. But there was no drilling down. And what I will want to call exchange and articulations of the various positions to determine where we must land in the context of negotiations that we do with the private sector, right? Because within the same period, one has to understand that we would have arrived at a minimum of 6%, a maximum of 9%. Some people got 12% over the very 3-year period, not the 6, and the other 3-year period, some would have got 9 and 6% increases. So that over the 6-year period, you would have gotten as much as 12 and in some instances 18% increase on your wages.
Mr.
In the private sector.
Yeah, I know you like to use a lot of data and figures and percentages and so on. What is the amount of people who would have benefited from the 4% increase by the government? Average, the amount of people.
The government, if we take the government employees, the government is the biggest employer, and it's not everybody would have benefited. Well, the average that would have benefited so far is from the police, teachers, fire service, the army, amalgamated workers, and a sugar worker group.
Just give me a figure. Just give me a figure.
A figure. I am saying we are looking at over 12,000 or more average.
All right. And how many people stand to benefit in terms of the officials in with this increase from the Salaries Review Commission?
Was that?
How many people? Yeah, we talking about in terms of public officials.
All right. Well, I think you will be in a better position to answer me. We know how many parliamentarians, and you see, I could argue that. And if we want to go that road,
I'm not arguing, Hold on.
No. But what I'm saying, you are better able to answer that than me. And all I'm simply saying, and let me repeat it for the public who is listening. When you start to build a society on the basis of how many people, as opposed to whether or not the wages for the larger group of the population or government employees who in effect is required to keep the economy going, who is in effect is the middle class, and you marginalize their salaries and you do a salary deficit, you are in effect interfering with your economy, because the purchasing powers to buy the goods and services is no longer there, and your economy is going to suffer. So we do not do economics in the context of the amount. We do economics in the context of its people that we are looking at, and what kind of society that we want, and what kinds of policy that we want in respect of the redistributive mechanism and fiscal policies and labor and market policies that the government implement. You cannot take it in isolation. You have to look at all the metrics in order to land at a proper place.
Can the recent minimum wage increase be factored into this conversation?
Well, we have always argued that the minimum wage is what it is. The minimum pay that an employer should pay to a worker. You cannot pay less than, although our information that there are still some employers who are not recognizing it. And we don't deal with minimum wages. We want to deal with living on real wages, which is a projection coming out of the International Labour Organization, right? You must deal with living wages. Workers must be able to afford the ability to survive within their society by the wages that they receive, because there is a nexus in terms of cost of living, in terms of goods and services, in terms of services, in terms of education, in terms of healthcare, that is related to your wages. And there must be a measure of nexus that plays into that. You cannot just come up with a figure and then leave it so, and leave people to suffer. And then, and in respect to my learned friend there who asked me how many government people, let us look at the minimum wages.
I didn't finish asking your question, and you go on off on a tangent.
You didn't finish. Your learned friend would have asked after. So I am prepared to answer you.
You assumed what I was going to ask you and where I was
No,
going.
I am not assuming.
Okay. So I'm asking you again. Yeah, you say about 12,000 people who would have benefited from the 4%, right?
Yeah.
And I asked the question, how many people would benefit from this current salaries review? You didn't give me an answer because you said I should know, right?
No. I should know. I'm saying that you should know. Because if you want us to go through it, we will go through it. There is one president, all right? There is one prime minister. There is one opposition leader. Members of parliament. There is we have how much? is 41.
41 plus 16 plus 9
Plus,
plus 6.
all right, well then here you see that is what I'm saying, that you know it more than me. But in terms of cabinet ministers, which is a different salary, we know how much. In terms of the Senate president, there's one. In terms of the Speaker of the House, in terms of the Chief Secretary and those who fall under the ambit of the Chief Secretary is how much?
12 or 16,
how much?
some amount, sir.
All right, okay.
Assembly,
So then we have crossed 100 by now.
Right, yeah. And we have all the local government people.
All right, okay. I didn't even want to go there because I was looking at these groups of people. But what is in?
So we talking about 300 or so? 300, 400?
All right, well, if you say 3, I will accept 3.
Okay. I ain't saying 3. I just saying maybe it's around 3.
Yeah, right. All right. So let us say an average of 300 or barely over 300. I could live with that.
Okay. Is it that you are for or against increases for public officials? I'm not sure of your position.
Listen, I have made my position clear.
Yes, that earlier on.
I have answered that it wasn't paid attention.
But you see your answers are long. I want a short answer, yes or no. Is it that you are for?
No. With the greatest respect, you are not going to pigeonhole me in an interview. I want a short answer, yes or no. This is not a
you've already given me the long answer.
No, hold on, my learned friend. And even when I go in the courthouse, I will tell the judge I have a right to explain myself. And the same will apply to you. Nobody in an interview going to tell me that you must answer yes or no.
But you
the days for dictatorship is over.
All right. No, but Mr. Anizet, you would have given your explanation already. I'm not discounting it. I'm trying to get to a point. Are you for or against the increases, the recommended increases?
I have answered that already.
That's a yes, right?
What's that?
And that's a yes, right? My interpretation of what you said earlier on is yes, you are. But except
that is your interpretation. I would like to hear Paul's interpretation.
My interpretation is that Mr. Anissette said very clearly that he was not against the proposed increases to high-level public officials, but he would like parity across the board in terms of the public sector workforce.
So yes, he is in favor of it.
Wendell, stop.
No, stop. I understood Mr. Anizette's explanation, Paul. I understood Mr. Anizette saying that the percentage should be in parity with what
do you think the country can afford? Do you think the country can afford more than 4%? And if so, what do you base that on?
All right. I am saying, one, that the country can afford more than 4%. Because there was a concerted and deliberate policy of this government to depress wages for whatever reason. One cannot explain and justify as I speak to you. Let me give you an example.
Let's pause here. You made a statement that you have to qualify. You said there was a concerted.
What's that?
You said there was a concerted effort by this government to depress wages. What do you base that on?
Yeah, one, every entity who would have negotiated a wage increase above the 4%, the government would have refused to give the instructions to implement it, e.g. the Port Authority, dock workers, and 2, the NIB workers, notwithstanding that it was legitimately negotiated between parties. As I speak to you, the matter of NIB is before the Industrial Court, because the Minister of Finance said no to the 9%, although the board and the management would have taken a decision that we can pay it, we would have put aside money for it, and there is no need for us to get a permission from the Minister of Finance based on the NID Act. But the matter is still before the court. But more importantly, as I speak to you, are we aware that there are statutory boards and and entities who haven't yet gotten the instructions from the Minister of Finance and or the CPO to start negotiations with respective unions. And we are talking of going into 13 years. If that is not a concerted effort to derail the process of collective bargaining, I want to know what it is. Because our Industrial Relations Act 1 and our signature to the collective bargaining process under the ILO speaks of 3 years and having reasonable and timely discussions in negotiations. Okay, so we have no doubt in our minds.
Every government for the last 20 years has had that position. So because we've had, for the last 20 years in my recollection, negotiations have not taken place in a timely manner, no matter who is in power.
No, I am not.
The board
you are correct. You are correct in saying that, but I can recall that when the UNC came into power, they would have set up a committee and sat with the union, and they were able to wrap off within less than a year all the outstanding negotiations. All right. And the question is, if I am an MTS worker, why it is I am waiting going in 13 years now for negotiation to start, and the minister have failed to give directive to the board to start negotiations. And you see, those are the things that we are looking at now, because what was done in the past is the past and we cannot bring it back, but we are now in the present, and we are saying that time value of money is critical, and therefore negotiations like in the United States, Germany, and other places must start within 6 months before the expiry date of a collective agreement, so we would not find ourselves in a situation where you are asking public servants to live in 2024 on 2013 salaries. Why it is that in the private sector we don't have that problem? Why it is only with the governments that we have that problem? And that is the question that we have to ask ourselves. For the private sector, does the negotiations and be completed within the 3-year period, and we move on, unlike all the governments.
So what you're saying is it's possible if there's the will to do it.
Yes. Yeah.
Have the unions? One of the reasons that I have, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, offered by the government is the government is the largest employer. So any wage increase, 4%, 9%, 6%, is going to end up on the government books as mandatory, because that's been agreed to and signed off on. Have the unions done a calculation in terms of collectively, if all negotiations went at 4% or 6% at 9%, what the additional cost on the government books is going to be?
No, well, we are in the process of looking at that, but what we know, given what are the expenditures in certain areas, given the economic fallout that is visiting Trinidad and Tobago in the context of places closing down and people have to go home because workers do not have the disposable income to buy the goods and services, one has to ask themselves the economic question, whether or not that is what we want for Trinidad and Tobago, or what kind of society and what kind of fiscal policy and labor market policies that we want in order to grow.
I'm surprised, given the length of time these negotiations are ongoing, and the unions having a definitive position on what level of increases they want in terms of percentages, that they have not done a calculation sector by sector and cumulatively on how much additional it will cost the government for 5%, 4%, 6%, 9%, so that you can argue, proffer an argument for the government saying, well, this will cost the country.
You see,
let me finish.
Yeah.
It will cost the government additional 30 million a month or 150 million a year with this proposed increase by the government. And part two of the question is, do you think that every sector, given the nuances of each sector's requirement, should be pegged at the same percentage increase?
No, that is something. Let me answer the last question first. And I think that is a critical question that you have asked, because we have argued, and when I say we, the National Trade Union Center, and more or less Siemens Union, and we have demonstrated that, because a 2% on $10,000 and a 2% on $3,000, while it's 2% is not the same percentage, and what that does is to continue the escalation of the disparity of workers' salary, and therefore it creates all kinds of nightmare within a collective bargaining process, and therefore we would have demonstrated in Siemens Union that our wage increases would have been reflective of the lower rung of the ladder benefiting more than the higher rung of the ladder. But that is not a policy as it relates to negotiations in Trinidad and Tobago across the board. We give a percentage increase, everybody get the same increases, and we do not look at the fallout of negotiating so. And it's something that we have been articulating for the powers that be to take a look at. And herein, I believe that we can find resolutions in the context of wages should be distributed in the context of salary structures, as opposed to a straight across the board increase, which does nothing really for the person at the lower rung of the salary scale. The other question is that you may be aware we are before the industrial court. Some of the unions who would have withstand the bullying, I must say, about take it or leave it, we are before the court. So the question of the amounts and whatnot is something, because the matter is sub judice, that I wouldn't want to get in.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you could not have done a calculation, whether it's before the court.
No, we would have done a calculation, but I'm not at liberty, given where we are, to make those kinds of statements. As soon as we having a matter with PSA at the court, if that aspect come up, I will call you back and I will give you the amount, because we would have done our homework and our exercise as it relates to that. Because you look at the wage bill and you add a percentum based on the wage bill. We know the wage bill on the port. We know what is it at PTSC. We know what it is at MTS. And there's a simple calculation, 9% of that. You may disaggregate overtime, because overtime is an opportunity cost and it's not a fixed cost, in that you will work overtime on the basis of when there is overtime, but your fixed income is something that we could calculate on your cost of living.
Are you willing to take some calls, Mr. Anette?
What's that?
Feel about the
Are you willing to take some calls?
Both of you are talking at the same time, so let me take one at a time.
Right. So Paul is asking if you'll take some calls. I would assume that's yes, right?
Yeah, I will. I am always open, because people are entitled to contrary views.
Right. So
I welcome that.
I'm asking, how do you feel about the recommendation for a decrease in salaries for the industrial court judges?
No, I do not support that. But if I may add that there's a provision in the Industrial Relation Act which speaks to that an industrial court judge who is enjoying a salary, his salary cannot be deducted. So I guess they will have to read into what does that mean, whether it means for new judges that is coming to the court. It cannot be for judges who are there already enjoying terms and conditions of employment, because the Act doesn't provide for that.
I'm happy you explained that, because I was wondering too, how is that possible?
And then All right, and then the other point, that is a prescription for confusion too, so that you will be bringing in new judges with different terms and conditions to carry on the same functions. But that is another conversation.
All right, so we'll take calls. 222 Talk 222-8255. Our guest is Mr. Michael Anette, General Secretary of NATOC. I still say at the end of the day, the people, all these public officials who are recommended for increases, people need to stop looking at the personalities and look at the positions. Is it deserving of the position? In a large measure, yes. You still have the power to get rid of these people at the end of the day by the power of your vote. These people aren't there for 33 years like public servants. They are there at the whim and fancy of the voting public at the end of the day. A lot of them. You understand?
No, comrade, you see, sometimes I like to do deep dive into people's statement. How long the prime minister is in politics? How long the opposition leader is in politics? How long Munilan is in politics? In our culture, we have politics like a lifelong job.
How long you in the union?
If you're not in opposition, you're in the government, and vice versa, because that is your trend in Trinidad and Tobago now. And then you get pension rights and benefits too. So that should tell us something. So then when you make a statement without qualifying it, it sends the wrong message.
No, I'm very sure what I'm saying. We have had politicians who have lasted a month. We have had some who've lasted a year. We've had some lasted one term. We have had several examples of that, Mr. Anette. So to just point to
but is that the norm?
In lately in our politics, yes.
No. I beg to disagree with you.
One term.
That is not the norm, sir.
How long
that
the
is
union
not the
leaders?
norm, sir.
How long now the union leaders in charge? How long?
How long? I am in charge for 13 years.
13? Anyway.
All right. Good morning, Cora.
I am in charge for 13 years.
Morning, Mr. Wendell. Morning, Richard.
Morning, Mr. Pat.
Morning,
Mr. Anette. Morning, sir.
Blessings and pleasant morning to you, sir.
These proposal or reviews of salary for certain people, I just be amazed. Those government workers right now working for nearly might be 3,000, might be 2,400 a fortnight, right? So that is nearly 4,500 a month. And they may get a raise from since 2013 to now. And everything in Trinidad and Tobago gone up. So these people living hand to hand and borrowing to live. So we see people recommending raise and salaries and things for people who already are collecting VAT exemption on vehicles, tax exemption on certain things, allowances, house rental allowances, all kind of allowances, and they still trying to raise people salary. Something wrong in this country, all. I ask the whole of Trinidad and Tobago to get up and protest anytime them salary raise. Because people suffering. People suffering in this country. You understand? Liability going up, they suggest now. Property tax going. Everything going. But these people in the high echelons of society, them exempted from all that. And they have sideline jobs. Some of them
No, they are not exempted from taxes.
The
only position exempted from taxes, as far as I'm aware, is the president.
On TV.
Yeah?
VAT exempted, Wendell?
What?
VAT on vehicles exempted.
Well, Mr. Patrick, I don't know if you know how these things work worldwide, you know. Maybe people are not aware of how these things work worldwide. They go down to personalities again. They look at the person and say that person don't deserve that. It's not about the person.
No, Mr. And that's right. The average worker in Trinidad and Tobago cannot live with that salary they have. And they get them.
You're making two arguments, Mr. Patrick. I'm all for workers getting more money. Me, I'm all for it.
People get that 20% increase and 10% increase and 15% increase. So how that working out?
Okay.
That's what I said.
All right.
Let me do it across the board. Give somebody 10% too. All right.
All right, Mr. Patrick. Thank you. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Anette, if the government should accept the SRC's proposal and say that the increase shouldn't be more than 4%, would you all have would you all agree with that? And also, as a PSA member, the salary of the PSA union man is $50,000 plus perks. You all have a problem with that? Thanks.
You got the two questions, Mr. Anissa?
No, firstly, I am not going to get into personalities and what the salary of the PSA president is. All right, that is for the membership to decide. That is not for Michael Anette. All right, and I don't think that this I don't think that this conversation is on that. PSA membership going to decide that. Okay, one. Two, we were making the point, and the worker made a fundamental point. Because if I bring in a car, I have to pay VAT and everything. If a politician or a parliamentarian do not have to pay it, it means then that taxes is deducted from him, and that's a fact. So we cannot deny that. But I'm having said that, if I'm getting like the MTS workers $1,000 and something a fortnight, am I honestly, as a trade union leader, as a citizen of this society, who have been arguing, and I will raise the point about income and wealth inequality, am I going to sit down and accept that you give that worker a 2% because a government minister or a prime minister or the president who is now enjoying $64,270 or $59,680 if they accept 2%? How do you work out that? And we were talking about that the salary has to be, and it has nothing to do with who is the prime minister. It has nothing to do with who is the president. It has to do what kind of perks and benefits that they are getting as opposed to the ordinary citizen who is required to live from salary to salary. And we have to build a society. We have to build a society.
But going into
we have to build a society where there's a level of equity in respect of how we redistribute our wealth in this country. It cannot be, and it must not be, that a certain group of people, a percentage of people benefit everything, and then the mass majority of the people, who is the economy, are forced to live on salaries that everyone know that cannot make them survive.
So do you believe
that is the argument, that is the conversation that we are having in the labor movement?
All right. So do you believe a union leader allegedly earning $50,000 a month plus perks is fair to the membership of that particular union?
Well, if the membership through the general council, because the union leader, any union leader do not go and pay himself, right? There is a process, which is a democratic process, which speaks to how you are to get paid. And if that process, is followed and the membership agrees, who is me or who is you to question that?
How is that different to the Salaries Review Commission making a
No, but
recommendation,
hello.
taking it to
Hello.
Parliament, and the Parliament approves it. How is that different? There's a process.
Hello.
involved.
Prime Minister didn't
No,
say
no,
I
no.
want a
Listen.
raise.
Here, what is the difference? We said that we cannot pay more than 4%, and people saying it is because of the volume, which I disagree with. Okay, but having said that, if the economy, based on, as you say, the economic realities of the economy cannot take those kinds of increases, all right? How do we now juxtapose that it could take it for a group of people who is 300 or more people? What that maths in Matson, as far as I am concerned, I am saying that we have to start to talk about income inequality and the poverty level and wealth inequality that is existing in Trinidad and Tobago. And the only mechanism to address that is in the context of wage increases. And if you fail to do that, you will be creating a social disaffection that we will live to regret. We could sit down here and we could argue about the Salary Review Commission, but the fact is, the fact is, it have more than 22% of the working people in Trinidad and Tobago and the population living in poverty in Trinidad and Tobago. Is that the society that we want to build in this society? We are saying no. We are saying no in the labor movement, and we will continue to argue whether people say it's personality or not. There must be a level of equity and redistribution that is reflective of the realities of the people of our Trinidad and Tobago, or an ordinary government worker, a public servant, a middle-class worker is entitled to his benefits. And the point that I am making is that when you continue to behave so, the private sector is going to pay much more, which is happening right now, than government workers, and that will result in a brain drain, one, because people are leaving who are qualified and going away, and people are going to the private sector, and it will leave the government staff for the kinds of skills that we require to take the country forward.
All right, well, we have to end it there, Mr. Anette.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us this morning.
Yeah, the pleasure is always mine. And blessings against the Trinidad and Tobago. And I call on the Most High and our ancestors to guide Trinidad and Tobago to a place that will be comfortable as a people, as a country, and as citizens living in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
Into pastoring too, Mr. Anette?
All that. No, I am an African, and then I believe in the African sacred science, and you must take some time to read it. This is not pastoring. Right? So I'm calling on the Most High and my ancestors to guide me and to protect Trinidad and Tobago.
Don't worry, I'm quite aware of what you speak, Mr. Anette.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael Anette.
So I wonder why you say pastorship.
Well, why not?
I wonder why you say that. If
Why
you are
not?
quite aware, you would not have used that word pastorship for sure.
But all the union leaders sensitive to words, eh?
No. You said pastorship. I don't know why you are saying that I'm sensitive. All right. I don't know why you're saying that. I am just correcting you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Anette.
African spiritual science. That is what it is all about. It has nothing to do with pastorship.
No problem. Take care.
Okay.
All right. All the
All right,
best.
folks. That was Michael Anette, president of the SWWTU, whose salary is between 14 and 25, not a cent more. And he was our guest. Unions and me.
You have a great day. Be safe.
Folks, have a wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you. Chat with you tomorrow morning. Let's get into our news brief.